3, 2, 1, boom. Let's go, bud.
We are back.
He's back. Yeah, let's pretend this is the first time this has definitely happened. Welcome to Going Rogue with Andy Leo. It's your boy, Andy Leo. I'm here today with Mr. Sebastian Danzig of Palais Royale, one of my most favorite people I think I've ever met in my whole life.
Well, thank you. Hi, people.
So we were just talking about how weird it was that it's been 6 months since I've seen you last. That's like one of the only real complaints I have about the lifestyle that we get to live is that you make genuine friendships and then you just don't see them ever.
You meet so many fucking people in this world, and then it's like, I don't like majority of them, and then you meet people you like, and then it's like, you make a phone call, and you're like, I miss you. It's been 6 months. Fuck, how did that happen?
it's been so
Traveling
wild.
the fucking world.
Yeah, man. So you guys got back from, you guys were just on tour with Inishikari in Europe.
And we did Shikari in England and then headline in Europe.
England. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Man, I remember I saw
England in January.
That's brutal. It's brutal. I bet. I saw the photos of Remington getting tossed around by security. That's so.
And he
wild
just has a smile on his face.
Dude, there's something really fucking rock star about being able to have something that's very clearly wrong and just take it all in stride and just smile on your face, keep performing and doing the best you can fucking do. Because I know people that are drama. You know what I'm saying? They'd cause a scene. I would fucking... If anybody tackled me... Oh, dude. Even if I wasn't good at fighting, which I'm not, but you know what I'm saying? I do fighting.
Of course.
I would lose it. I would raise hell. And I'm surprised he didn't.
He just has a smile on his face. Like, for me in Emerson, Emerson would be the first to start throwing hands. And
I love that.
And Remington's just like smile on his face. Everyone's cheering. And then it's funny, then the internet takes to it. Well, maybe you should be more respectful. But what happened to rock and roll? It's not like someone like gave us we tried to sign something and say, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do this. Then fine, we'll
work within the parameters of the...
But when it's like there's no rules or regulations, no one, and then there's all this bullshit of people saying, oh, well, you were told this. I'm like, what is this, preschool? I'm not allowed to go in the jungle gym after 12 o'clock? Like,
well, here's the thing about it is you guys are obviously, okay, in case you guys don't know, Palais Royale, hot fucking sensation. You guys are on fire right now. But it seems like any time that people see a band doing well, they want to put a cap on it. You know, it makes headliners upset when you see someone fucking outperform the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying?
And it's been strange. We haven't opened up for anyone since we did Stone Sour last April.
Right.
So when we got that opportunity going out with that in Shikari, and we're like, oh, this is gonna be great. We're really excited. They do really big rooms, and we never ever toured England prior. And then we played our first headline in October or something like that, and it was like 2,000 people in London, and we're like, by ourselves, our second show in London.
Right.
We went from Camden Assembly, which was 250 to 2,000, both sold out.
Wow,
and
dude,
so when you feel that,
people get mad about that.
I know, and then you go back on an opening support tour that you haven't done, and you forgot about that. You only forgot about the environments you created, and our shows have just become something that it's like, it's an event. You know, It's like from everyone's enjoying themselves. It's like you don't show up just to watch the band and be like, cool, that was fun. Everyone loses their shit, and it's fun. And so when you go and support, you realize it's cut in half. You know, the limitations are cut in half.
Give a shit,
and then you go and you open, you're like, wait, I forgot. Like everyone in the room's not there for you, and you have to win over people.
Yeah.
But when already people have stigmas about your band or whatever they've seen online or whatever it might be.
You're so controversial.
Yeah,
bro.
I'm like, I'm just playing music,
dude. I think that's why I wanted to have you on so badly, is because it gets so convoluted. You know, people see just like the little snippets of stuff on Twitter, and they're quick to assume, oh, fuck these guys for forever.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, the high man mentality, or as I personally experienced as we were coming up as like the new young hype band, people were looking for reasons to try and take it away from you.
Absolutely.
Whether it's like what kind of absurd bullshit is, you guys need to be more disrespectful, bro. I can't be your friend anymore. And you're like, dude, we're in a rock band. Like, that's kind of the whole point, is to rile up the crowd. Like, at what point did being polite overstep a good performance? It's not like you're, all right, I want to see somebody beat the face off of that kid. You know, I've seen you guys stop shows when there was
whenever
fights.
Kids pass out, whenever there's fights, we're like, yo, even when we were on tour with you.
Yeah.
There was that one girl, and she was like hitting one of the fans, and we're like, calm down.
Hey, excuse me. What the fuck are you doing? It's that easy. But I think just because you guys did come out of kind of left field as far as, you know, onto the scene and quick to fucking absorb everybody.
And it's funny though, musically, we don't even, in the way we stylistically dress, it was so far left field from everything.
Yeah.
So you go on tour with like a Warped Tour, which was the only community sense in America that was happening.
Yeah.
That you could go on tour and play for kids and play for people that are actually interested in finding out about new music. And you go in there and you kind of are, you know, the black sheep in that sense, and we always were. And
Dude,
and then
you have no idea. People were talking about you guys all the time.
All the time.
You're head turning.
I know.
And that's something that I paid attention to, just because we were already vets in that
Yeah.
world, essentially, where people would just be like, "Yo, those guys are so weird, right?" And I was like, "Those are my best friends." You know, we gotta watch your words.
I'm wearing a velvet suit in the summer
exactly.
in Dallas,
it's
Texas.
1,000 degrees outside. You're just walking around.
I'm
looking,
like, I don't care.
yeah, dude, it's just the attitude. It's not just the way you look.
Yeah.
You know, that's the surface level thing that people say, like, oh, it's because of that. You're like, no, there's an entire attitude about you guys. And one of the first times I met you was I flew out to Pittsburgh. You were on tour with the White Noise guys and Icy Stars. And I remember
that was Ultra Bar.
I remember Alta
Yeah.
Bar. And
You and Emerson.
Yeah, I remember you guys. But this is my first encounter. I remember walking in. I remember you guys getting into it. I think you were yelling at them, but somebody had fucked up something, and you guys had different musicians kind of rotating in, aside from your brothers. But I remember you just fucking laying into people, and I was like, that's the kind of mentality that bands that want to be bigger than what they are should have. You know, a lot of people are afraid of even conflict, or they get in the motions of just perform, get off stage, perform, get on stage. You know, it's another day in the life. But if there's a critique that you have and genuinely know will make you guys better, then you have to have the conversation regardless of the niceties. And I think that's cool that you guys are brothers, because you can say some horrible shit to each other. I've seen you guys beat the shit out of each other.
But people take that as like, what if I tell Remington to go fuck himself? That's basically me saying I love you. You know, it's just how we've had respect for one another.
Literally the way the siblings talk to one another.
And when going to that situation of way I deal with it, it's like you're only able to have your dreams. You're only able to have the capability of being able to accomplish those by yourself. And the problem is when you do hire in the situation or having people around you, surrounding you, you respect them enough to hopefully be able to, they don't need to have the same dreams as me, you know, but have the respect to just be there to make the show happen, to make the efforts in my life happen. And that's the only thing I take so much passion and pride in what I do. Yeah. And it's a representation of Palais Royale. It's never a representation of them as an individual.
Right.
And that's always been, and that's always will be. And if you're in a crowd and, you know, that's my environment I created, and like everyone's there to have a good time. So if you want to disrespect it, then just please leave. Yeah. It's that simple.
And I respect the fuck out of the mentality that you had behind it. I was like, these guys are actually passionate about it, because I know bands that had plenty of problems, even us, that we just fucking win the dress.
Yeah.
You know, we were just like, hey man, I might fix that. You're like, I might.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I think that was the first time I got a snippet of these guys are a real band and they're real passionate and they're going to be moving. And that was how many years ago now? Maybe 2 years ago?
2016 February.
Yeah.
That was Icy Stars. Like, and that's the thing too. We're being paired on with bands that we all became friends with. But when you're like Palais Royale and Icy Stars, it's like, where does the music line into place, you know?
Right.
And so I think, but that's okay. You know, we gained a fan base out of an audience that would have never even heard about our band because of the way we dress, the way we sound. But because these kids were so open to listening to it, we built a fan base from all these tours. You know, we went from everything from Good Charlotte, Sleeping with Sirens, Andy Black, you guys, like, I don't even know. There's so many people. And so many bands of those bands we went on tour with are not even bands anymore. So, like, we were one of 5, like, supporting, playing for 20 minutes, sleeping in our mom's Escalade, driving around the fucking country, and showing up dressed like this, bringing our Palais Royale, like, light signs out. And people are like, you're in one of 5. Yeah, why don't you have your fucking scrims? I'm like, this isn't 2007 Warped Tour.
Yeah,
you know, like.
You know what? I think that's an important quality to have for people. And I think that's something that people need to hear is, like, you can't be afraid of being the black sheep. Like, even though you guys so obviously stuck out as a sore thumb, you managed to turn it into an advantage and a foothold, a foot in the door to get you guys into basically what seems like any opportunity that comes across the table. You know? But there's so many.
And we're open
angles
to it. And then you get, like, attention of people like Corey Taylor, and it's like, he personally handpicked us to go into a Stone Sour. Like,
how was he?
Corey Taylor, like, I would never expect, but, like, the fact he's like a proud father and comments on everything on Instagram of our things. And it's like, oh, you guys are doing so great. Like, we saw him in Australia and he's like, come stand side stage. He yells at his manager, tell them they're allowed to stand here. And it's like, so cool that someone in a completely, but he's like such a rock star in that mentality.
Right.
Like Stone Sour is such a great rock band, and then obviously Slipknot is what Slipknot is, and they created this whole new thing. Yeah. But he even respects what we were doing. Yes, the music might be different, but they cared about the stylistically putting Slipknot together. Yeah. And there was a thought out process from day one. They went on wearing the mask. Vision. It wasn't, oh, they became successful, then thought about it.
Right.
You know, they went out there and they were the ones being heckled when they first started. Right. You know.
Oh, and dude, there's videos of them of like their first gigs, and you're like, oh, like they didn't have anything mixed, like they're out of breath, like they're very clearly nervous, but. The fact that there was a jewel, there's something special about them. I think, and then real artists like that too. I think you see common threads amongst people that that have traits that you admire, things that you look up to, and it's cool that he. People like that are dude. I'm we're not gonna go into a name dropping fest, but the fact that when we were on tour together, we had David Hasselhoff come out to that show. And
why is David Hasselhoff a fan of our band?
I remember being like, my tour manager Mateus. I was like, hey man, can you go ahead and put David Hasselhoff +1 on the guest list? And he was just like, ha. I was like, no, dead serious, bro. I need you to do that right now.
It's just weird. It's like this weird thing that happens with our band. I think it's because we are always open, as you were saying, we're open to it all. Yeah. We go and we'll go on tour with any single like scene band. We would go on tour with metal bands. We went on tour with pop. We played shows with Drake Bell. It's like weird things. But then you get these weird things that it was just like, people respect it because we would be in the fashion world and doing fashion shows. And,
And I think that's something, too, that's very unique to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's very unique to you guys is you see a lot of band dudes, and the idea or the preconceived idea that people have of us is that we live this life of luxury and that we have, anything we want. It's whatever they imagine that rock stars are like in their head. In reality, rock music is not what's cool right now. It's not the most popular. You look at what's top 10 on the radio now compared to what it was 15 years ago. It's completely new landscape of music. But I think being able to be from the get-go, from your initial vision, to bank on all the other options is something that people don't do. Mm-hmm. Bands, you see guys doing stuff like bracelets and stuff. You're like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything that you've ever done, ever? And I think because you guys did come out at the gate very, your own look, your own style, your own everything, that it's not outlandish that you guys came out with your own makeup line, and it's not crazy to me that it's doing really well. Just because it's always been your thing. I love the backstory behind it too. Basically, you guys like, okay, so we're not going to be making money from touring for at least a while.
Yeah, and the problem was you're not getting even to the point of tour support. So when you're surviving and you realize we have these opportunities to go out with bands that are finally getting more bigger as we go on, and we get to this point that we're like, we need to be able to pay for gas to get to the next city because you're getting paid $50 to play these shows, and people don't realize that.
That's just gas.
And that's just gas, and you're getting merch, and it's fine, whatever you're doing well in merch, and that's why we started doing like random things like VIPs in our trailer. Like we would have 25 kids sit in our trailer and we'd play them a few songs. Right. And that was the only reason. It was the fans were the ones that allowed us to continue our career, and it wasn't someone saying, here's your handout, go on tour. Right. So the makeup was the only thing that was kind of like, all right, we need to get tickets. This is when we were thinking about going to Mexico and going overseas. Right. And we're like, how do we pay for our flights to go to London? It's going to be really expensive. You're paying for 8 people.
Plus gear, right?
Plus gear and all that stuff, and rentals and hotels and whatever. Right. And it's like you have to do that because you're not in America and you can sleep in a car in a Walmart. Right. When you're over there, you need to at least have something, So
the Travelodge.
I know.
They have so many of them.
I know. Airbnb.
That's what you guys are doing?
That's it. Airbnbs.
You guys are so baller. I see some of the places you guys stay. You get like chateaus and shit like that.
But they're so inexpensive. You get one like house for like $400, but you get 10 hotel rooms, and you're like, what the fuck? Yeah. This is like $5,000,
like all of my money. Yeah, dude, it's
just being smart, but people are like, oh, you're being bougie. I'm like, no, I'm just being smart. I'm being different about it.
Hustle, dude. That's what I'm saying is like you're always looking for extra ways to take what you're already doing and extrapolate it into another full-blown entity. I mean, it's bold of me to say now, but I could see you guys having, a cult following like the Slipknot world. You know what I'm saying? But the makeup idea was so good. And when did that come about eventually? I know that you started doing Bella Thorne stuff later on because
that was the thing. Emerson's biggest thing was he was like, him and Remington wear a lot of makeup when it comes to stage stuff, like the glitter and all that stuff.
Right.
So they were just like, we're sick and tired of buying all these different palettes and it's really expensive. Let's make our own and pick the 4 or 5 colors that we wanted. And so we started with the 4-color one, and we were like wax sealing them with our logo.
Right.
And it was such a process. And then we finally like found someone to work with, and we started making them, and then actually got really good at it. And then for Warped Tour, we did like a 10-color palette with like the mirror and everything. And it's like, oh, you could buy this at Sephora. It looks like that, you know?
Yeah, it's that level of quality. It's so...
And we would test everything and, you know, make sure. Remington would literally put it on his face because he's like, if a kid breaks out, we're fucked, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't realize that too. You have to take that into consideration. The
quality
product.
of the product itself.
It's just not putting your name on something, because once your name's on it, you could be screwed for that.
Right.
So.
And it's great that it's something that you guys, again, ties into what you guys do on stage every day. You know, it would be super fucking phony if I came out with like, you know, oh, I'm making shoes. You're like, what? What?
Why?
What does that have to do with anything? Or like selling your clothes online and stuff. It just looks like, oh, you're struggling.
Digging.
I can tell you're struggling. But to be able to come up with an idea like that and make it into fruition and it be genuine, I think it resonates with people more and it makes people more inclined to buy it. I think that's fucking hilarious that, you know, and it's cool that you, for those of you who don't know, record labels get, you know, a varying amount straight off the top of all the money that you make, whether it's like 35% or whatever it is, and they can't touch your makeup, bitch. It's my money now.
Because everyone thinks it's a joke when you discount saying we want fashion, we want this, we want that. They're like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. But then you realize, okay, that's, you know, it's something we're actually passionate about too.
Yeah,
we've always were, you know.
And I think that's why people are so turned off initially when they hear stuff like that. Like, there's no way. How are you gonna pull that off?
Yeah.
You know? But
it's Emerson literally talking. He'll wake up and call China and like be talking to them. Really? And he has someone that's a manufacturer there. He has one in America, like going back and forth, making sure it's like cruelty free, making sure like down to the point, and like what chemicals they're using. And it's not just like, oh yeah, we want that color. Right. There's a lot more that, like, the amount of palettes that have been sent to us or like colors, and we're like, what is this? You know? Or you ask for
new
red.
Baby shit yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, whatever the fuck.
But that's the beautiful thing about the internet, because you're able to find these great young people that are working too, trying to figure out their way, and you know, pair up with someone.
Is that how you got connected with
sometimes
Thorne and stuff like that?
That was, she hit us up on Instagram. What? Yeah, she hit us up. She's like, I like you guys. And want to come over, and it was her and Maud's son, and
I was gonna say.
But that's what's like funny. It's like all the friends that we have gained throughout the years. It's like
just from being out here in LA and doing your thing,
going out, and
it seems like you guys have like these connects with like
the strangest people.
Yeah, like how did you?
But like Remington at Tyga's house. I'm like, what?
Yeah, what are you doing in Tyga's house, bud?
Where is the relationship of connection here? I'm like, do you even know a Tyga song? He's like, no.
And I think that's like the big. I talked about it early on in the first episode of the podcast. It's like the opportunities of being in LA, because it's not. People are super pretentious all the time talking about thinking it's like the greatest city ever, when it's not. Like it's a super ugly city. Ugly city, but it's the people and the connections that you come across. But
I think regardless of it, is people come out to LA because they all had the same passion to do something. Right. A lot of people don't succeed with it. They come here and they fail like miserably because they don't. There's a lot that you have to. You realize you lose all your friends, you lose your family. When you become successful in any sense, you end up realizing all of that diminishes, because all the people you used to go out with don't call you up anymore, you know, and that's the truth, and it's fine. Like, we've been on the road for almost 4 years straight. We're almost like, or it's like 3.5 right now, and we've done 650 shows in that time period. So it was just this past year us headlining, you know, which is amazing, and we are now at that point where, like, I feel like we just started our career, and all the stuff prior to that was just the preparation to get to this point. And then in 5 years, I'm going to be saying the same thing. Like, we're just starting again. Whenever we were doing, you know, our next album, and it's one of those things. We're sitting around in a room, and it's like we're back to square one.
Dude, but even
it's amazing.
But even then, you guys are so refined at that. Like, you were. I've been trying to get you on the podcast for so long, and I was like, oh, sorry, I'm in Sri Lanka feeding orphan chinchilla, like whatever it is that you're doing. You're always doing something crazy.
We finished tour in Prague. I went to Venice, flew home, went to New York the next day for 3 days, flew back, went to Joshua Tree, then flew back to New York, then I'm like, I've been in LA for 6 days. For 2019, and we're what, March 18th or something like that. I'm like, where has my time gone?
But even then, even when you guys were out in the desert, you said you came back and you finished 12 more songs.
Yeah.
Like that, even the idea of starting from square one and writing an album in however much time you guys were even out there for.
But it's obviously the process of it, but also we're not satisfied yet.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You're never satisfied. The thing is, everyone has a different point. When we first started this band, we all kind of had the same idea of what we wanted.
Right.
But Remington's been influenced by things. I've been influenced by things. Emerson's been influenced by things. And it's just not music. And it's like, now we're hiring a new guy to come in and play music and having Curcio. It's like he's a part of this and it's a different voicing. And, it's a lot of things, a lot of relationships, a lot of substance, a lot of everything that comes into line of who we are as people. Yeah. And you realize you're essentially just homeless, traveling across the world, and it's like, we get to do nice things, but I don't live anywhere. I have 3 storage units across the world right now, and I know. I live in Airbnbs.
Yeah, exactly, dude. We did the same thing. For the people know now that I have this very dirty apartment right now, but I was doing the homeless thing for a long time, and we even had
we did it. We did it.
And that was a wild experience of itself. So for those of you who don't know, we jump around for Airbnbs whenever we're off tour. It just makes sense than paying rent when we're not around. But we decided, I think we talked about it, like,
it was Warped Tour.
Yeah, Warped Tour. You know what? We're going to be roommates, bro. Let's do it. Let's just live together for a month.
I found a spot.
We got a house in the hills, bro. We went up there. And it was like, how long were we even there for?
We were there for, I think, like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks of pure.
But we landed. We landed at the airport, and it was you, me, and Hoover, I think. Or Katie picked up Hoover or something. You and me went right to the Airbnb. Yep. We get there, we both look at each other, and we're like, all right, we're doing this. Yeah. And in like an hour, there was like 10 people at the house. And we're like, whoa. I remember like having a fucking like panic attack. It was like 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, it's 8 o'clock. I just got off tour. Who the fuck are all of you? Get out. It's 3 o'clock getting trashed already. It was
funny. That was around the same time that I met Frankie.
Yeah.
And I had him on, and we obviously just spoke very highly of you. He fucking loves you.
He's the best.
But man, that was a wild week and probably one of the coolest 2 weeks that I've ever had.
Dude, it was so much fun.
The people you introduced me to, bro, like these are girls or humans in general that you're like, that person is so beautiful. It's like a shooting star is what I call those people. Like like, oh wow, like you never come across it. Like, it's the type of shit that ruins your day. Exactly.
They're unicorns.
Life, yeah. Like, did I just witness magic? But yeah, dude, I'll never forget that.
It was fun.
Yo, all right, we back again. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's fucking hot, dude.
Right?
You're lucky you missed this fucking bullshit.
Yeah, but I'm wearing a suit.
You're also wearing a suit. I felt so bad. I was like, turn on the AC for it, man.
I'm always wearing a suit, though.
He's gonna die. Dude, fresh look. We turned heads. We were just at Sushi right before we started this, and
we're drinking too much sake.
Obviously we're having sake at noon, but people overheard us, and we're like, what are these guys' lives? Like, what are they talking about?
I work for Pablo.
Yeah. But so what else? There was this. Okay, so I've been struggling with whether or not I want to bring it up, but you're very online. You're both, all you guys' tweets always seem to come from a genuine place. Like I get drunk and tweet shit like, I love you guys, stuff like that, like normal people shit. But you seem to be pouring some legitimate like heart into some of the things that you're saying, whether it's positive, whether it's a critique of the industry like that. And I think it's gotten you some backlash even a little bit.
I think, unfortunately, we sit in this world that you have to describe what you're trying to say in 240 characters. Or even if you do comment and tweet back and make like a whole thread, it always will be taken that one tweet. Right. And there's never like a thought, and I've got really bad at it because it's like you passionately so much about to say something, and it gets turned in so many different ways. And or even if you use a period versus like an exclamation point or a fucking, it's like when I use a period, people think like I'm serious. I'm just typing like how I was taught in school. Sorry, I had an education. Sorry, I don't fucking just type hi with nothing.
It's super weird that the text lingo. It's its own language. Yeah. It's completely like phrasing that is completely not grammatically correct
Absolutely.
in a traditional sense.
That's okay.
Change the mood. People understand what you mean.
Yeah.
It's weird that emojis have come back and it's like I need to literally send you a little photo
emoji.
of the face that I
know.
am representing this photo
because
with.
you don't know what I'm saying.
You don't understand the context.
And
of it.
and I've always been that way, even from when texting was the thing. I always wrote with proper
Long
grammar.
form,
Yeah,
dearest,
yeah,
my dearest.
exactly.
You open
Sincerely,
yeah.
like sincerely from. It's like
it's very old fashioned. It's very like grandpa's.
But
when I get like
but
text
I
from my
write
grandpa, it'll be like
yeah.
sincerely
I write letters all the time. It's like if I'm in a relationship, I'm always about leaving something physical in the world left, and it's always like a physical thing. It's just not a text, and I've always been that way. So when it comes to like, I can't split. That's the thing. I can't split myself from being who I am, regardless of the where it's being sent from,
right? Exactly.
or if I'm saying something,
and that's genuine.
Yeah,
that's what makes you real, and I think that's why.
And sometimes
I
won't.
Pisses you off.
Yeah,
pisses people off.
I know.
But is always earnest, and that's why I think people retweet the shit out of you when you say stuff like that.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether or not it gets you in trouble, I think it's a quality that is brave as fuck, especially in the age of the internet, where like
the only problem is that I do have now is you have to like. I see a lot of people having to censor themselves all the time because they feel like they're going to offend someone. But if your initial thing was like, of course we always say stupid things. Like I'll say something out of spite all the time, and that just is how you are human. And I realize, and I know that's where I sit. I'm under the magnifying glass. Always will be. Yeah. And because you say one wrong thing in life, everyone will always try to pick apart something.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was something as simple.
That's regardless of whether or not you said it on the internet or not. Like if there was an interview like this, and you say something that somebody doesn't like on here, exactly, they're gonna say something.
Yeah.
Huh.
So hi everyone.
Hi, it's me.
Hi, it's me.
Dude, no, I've always appreciated that about you because I did one thing. And see, I'm even scared to bring it up now just because I'm scared of the backlash. But I know that in the context that I mean something, that even if the terminology is incorrect, it immediately is hounded for this one specific thing. Like you're not taking into context what I'm saying. Like as a whole, you're just picking up this one part of it. And if you really were gonna pick this route of this thing is wrong, there are 4 things in the sentence that's wrong. You just picked the one thing you wanted to be mad about. Like,
and that's the unfortunate part. And I feel like everyone's always. Everyone's going to do that, but we're also in that spot, though.
And we're also not role models.
We're not.
That's the thing. I've never seen you be like, you never give like unsolicited advice to people. You're never trying to like, and I'm not trying to do that here. Like this, I'm trying to emphasize. I'm trying to shine a light on the fact that I don't know shit.
Yeah.
And I think that
I think I'm learning along the way, and I've made. And the thing is, for the most part, I've seen some shitheads, and like, trust me, there's a lot of things, and do you. Yeah. It's fun. I wake up in the morning and I'm at least like for the most part have a smile on my face. Like I am super thankful about everything that's happened. Like nothing in my life has meant to be happen besides the hard work I put behind it.
Right.
And that's all.
Definitely.
And like, you like my music, I don't care, whatever, it's fine. But that's just who I am as a person, explaining that. Right. But I genuinely wake up, and I think that's why I have friendships that are actual real friendships because of the person I am, and that's behind every closed door,
Right, definitely.
And I think that's the thing that people forget about, we still have friendships, we still are like humans, and I will make mistakes, and I'm here to be a voice for people that have the same feelings as me. Yeah. And I think that's as simple as it is.
All people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's one thing is like
I wasn't raised as a politician.
Right. Exactly.
And they fucking are worse. You know? So that's the problem.
We're like so overconnected, you know what I'm saying? Like people are knowing a lot of our innermost thoughts, but at the same time people still feel very isolated, very alone at the same time.
I want to be open, and I want to share who I am as a person to the world, but the problem is the way it is heading. I don't really care to share much besides the music I write now.
Right.
And that's how the music I grew up on liking. You got 4 pictures of the band a year. You maybe got an interview or maybe 2, and you saw them a show maybe if they came into your town. Right. And that was the bands like the Rolling Stones, and those are the bands I loved. Right. And the mystique was there. Right. Now we're allowed too much tools that people like your band or they like your music because of the person you are. They don't like
YouTube personality, for example, where you're used to basically what is essentially hanging out with this person for however many hours you're willing to watch their videos for, and then they're like, mixtape coming out.
I know.
It's so wild.
And that's the way it
just is now.
It is. But also there's a lot of good things happening through it. There are bands that are pushing really good messages and stuff, but then there's a lot of bands that do really well that literally post 1 picture a year but still can do 10,000 people a night because they don't give a fuck besides themselves. Yeah. And I envy that sometimes, but I also envy being able to have such a. I have it great because I have such a connection to the people that like I genuinely meet every single day. Like I go and meet these people after every show.
Let's talk
There's a
about
connection,
that, dude. You spend. I've seen VIPs before. You know, I've been on tour with bands that do have diehard crazy fans, and they'll wait for hours. And you guys, the difference is the bands are always like, I gotta get out of here, dude. Get me out of here. You guys will spend. What, 2 hours maybe?
It's roughly 2 to 3 hours of meet and greets before the show. Then after we get off stage, we jump over the barricade and go meet. Like when we did London, it was like almost 2,000 people. We went outside and met every single kid. Amsterdam, it took 5.5 hours to meet all the kids outside. Cops are showing up like, you can't be doing this. There's thousands of kids standing outside. I'm like, yeah, but they took their $10, $20 to come to the show and watch me.
Yeah.
And like they've waited so much to meet us and be around this community. And now the coolest thing of that is while they're waiting to meet us or whatever it is, or the shows, these kids are lining up and like became friends with all these kids that they never knew because of our band.
You're making community within.
And that's the most beautiful thing. And I didn't know that when I started the band. Obviously that's not your objective. No. You don't know what the value is.
Yeah.
And then I got to that point and I was just like, it means something so much more to me.
And to them too. Like think about, again, the bands that you were talking about, they did have the mystique.
Yeah.
And there was no expectation or obligation that they would be like, I have to be somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But if you had, and if they put themselves out there, how much more would you be a fan of that band? You know what I'm saying? Like that.
It's a double-edged sword all the time, And you get old opportunities now. You have to be connected all the time. But you can make a community. And a lot of people that didn't feel like when I was 15 years old dressing, I remember wearing like scarves when I was 15 years old. Everyone's like, what the fuck? That was a different time.
Right.
Like
when like DC Hurley stuff was
that was a different time how people reacted to that. How vocal people were when I was growing up.
Right.
I'm sorry, no one is in this society of kids would even survive that because it was like you wore something, you're getting every name in the book called, and like, you grew up.
Everybody, this kid's different.
I know. And it came with it, but it's fine. And like it made me have some thick skin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it made literally a career off of it, and even now, and you wouldn't expect, especially bands that are birthed from being the weird kid. Bullying people that are weird.
That's what is completely bizarre to me.
It's so hypocritical. I saw so much of it on Warped Tour.
I know.
Because
it's cliquey.
I was going to say, it's literally high school.
It's high school.
Exactly the same things. They're like, I don't fucking like those guys. You're like, why?
I would walk by people's buses. I don't like
it. Weird. I'm like, what?
I'm like, cool.
What are we doing here?
That's why we hung out the whole summer. It was like, it's just like.
We don't want to fuck with those people.
I know.
I want genuine, I want real, I want raw, and I want fucking debauchery.
I know.
Provided all of it.
And it's so funny. It's like even like a band like Water Parks, for instance, they would like, people would never expect us to be friends, but they were genuine. And we would just be standing around having conversations with them because we were just like, we're humans and we're doing something and that's it. We both have dreams.
Yeah.
And people forget that. Just because the style of music, the way you dress doesn't mean you can't be friends.
What do you mean? Yeah, you're hanging out with pop punk kids, you fucking traitors.
I know.
So funny,
it's
bro.
So stupid.
I know. Man, on the topic of love though, we were savage animals. And here's the trend that I've been seeing amongst my friends, and I think I realized that your surroundings obviously shape the way you see yourself and stuff, but a lot of my friends are getting locked down, dude. When we were living in that place, we were godless heathens. And on Warped Tour,
I remember the flight back. We were like, no girlfriends. But you and me both have gone through heartbreak. It's like,
we were in the
my heart was crushed, and
it was sad.
It was the saddest thing. And like, you expect something with someone and then you're like, whoa. But that's the thing from 20 to like 25 when you're with somebody. Life changes, there are expectations of who you change.
So much growth at that point.
That is.
Dude, so much rap. And
what their want is. And especially, I've always dated older women, always been that way. It's just been my thing. No, but it's like, I think because of that, when they get to a certain age, they're like, oh, fuck, what am I doing with this?
With this fucking loser.
Yeah,
dude,
he's playing in a band. And then, of course, the moment we break up, it's like, the career starts doing that.
Like, oh, shit, maybe I should focus. Somebody told me
I focused so much on that, my career after that, which is beautiful.
Realize, and there's always going to be opportunities, to connect with someone genuinely and to want to put in the effort and to be genuinely excited about the work that it is, because a relationship is so much more than just like everything's fun all the time. You know what I'm saying? You have to be willing to kind of work through
friendships are too. You know, if you're not willing, like I think because all of us stay friends is because we pick up the phone all the time and make phone calls. And like it's not like, hey man, you text, be like, miss you, and that's it. You know, it's like we actually genuinely, how you doing? What's going on? You know? And people forget that, you know?
Dude.
Friendships are the hardest thing to keep in this touring world, you know?
Dude, definitely. And also girlfriends if you're fucking...
Dude, girlfriends, unless you're like, I'm fortunate, I find someone and they...
I was going to say, you're a changed man, bro. You're locking it down. I remember my friend... our friend, Mr. Elijah Witt, is getting married as well. He's got the Good Die Young tattooed across his throat. And I was like, you are now sober. And,
dude, it was like a year and a half ago. It was all of us doing the dumbest shit,
like,
you know?
We're going to be animals forever. And now he's like domesticated.
Doesn't drink.
Doesn't drink. Kicks her there every day. And I like, at first I was like upset. I was like, you changed, bro. Like,
but
we
it's
used
a
to be.
good
But I was
thing.
saying, I was like, dude, this is the first time I've seen you genuinely happy since our entire friendship.
We
and
can
we were there
all
for each
be
other.
dark and miserable,
we
dude.
We legitimately were for such a long time, but seeing somebody actually get some fulfillment out of something that's genuinely good for them actually makes my heart a lot warmer. Yeah. So this is my formal apology to Elijah, but I'm happy for you too, man. I love to see that shit, dude. You guys do.
I'm happy. It's good. It's nice to be happy because the world we live in, it's like I go and play shows and that's my happiest. Like being in that environment I created, that's love. That's exciting.
Yeah.
But everything else around it, like I get off tour and I'm depressed and like because you don't know how to live anymore. And
dude, that's a good thing we gotta talk about, dude. I read a book called Tribe. I went home for Christmas after I think we were around each other, and I read a book called Tribe, and it was basically it talks about soldiers specifically because they're the ones that are the most deployed. They're with each other, and then they come back after like long periods of time. It's the closest that you compare, but basically what happens is like a short-term PTSD, where people that are in prison as well, you know, they come out and they go to McDonald's, and it's overwhelming the amount of choice that they have. You know, the lack of structure, the freedom is what's overwhelming, and the free time that you have. Because when you're on tour, it's easy to stay in the pocket of you know your routine.
Know what you have to do.
You're always going to be surrounded by the same things, the same people. You have the same job at the same time. So with that structure, but also it's moving so fast, the chaos of it, that when the whirlwind settles down and you're back at home sitting alone with nothing to do and no one to call, is when people are the most anxious. And that's when I would just do, I don't know, I guess I'll just be high for the whole month.
I know.
You know?
And then you go back because when you have another tour to go to, you're like, all right, well, I have 4 weeks to basically, I'm not even unpack my stuff because I'm going to go back out, and you go rehearse new songs, you go get creative if you're able to do that. And, you know, a lot of people also get off tour and that's the mistake is they don't work. Like I get off tour and I'm like, my brothers hate it because I'll go to their house and knock on the door at 10 a.m. Be like, hey guys, we have to do this, and this, and this. And they're like, let us have a break for 5 seconds. And that's my problem because I just always like, I feel like I'm so lucky to have what I have. And if I slack off for 1 fucking minute, it's gone. And,
dude, it's a like even you saying that is anxiety inducing for me. But
somebody, it's like, we run out of here.
But a band wouldn't survive if it weren't for somebody in the band that's like that. Brandon Hoover in my band is literally that person. Like, I'm like, dude, I don't even want to like. I don't want to talk to you. I was like, don't even fucking look at me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we were writing, and yesterday we were supposed to do one more day, and Emerson was like, I was like, you know, this has to be blah blah blah, and we're like, my opinions of what I think our music should be and whatnot is one thing, and what their opinions are, it's all changing. But they were like, he's like, I'm calling my fucking Uber. I'm like, it's 2.5 hours away. You're like, blah, blah, blah. We have to do this. But he's like, don't talk to me for a fucking week. I'm like, okay, fine, you know. But he's not saying it like fuck off, but he's saying it like I need
his one.
And especially Emerson.
I was gonna say he's the most like that I've seen. I fucking love him. Every time I walked up on your bus and he'd be like in his own doodling, headphones in, and be like, and I would always be drunk. And I don't think he really drinks that much, huh?
No, he doesn't drink at all.
Really?
He just smokes weed.
Nice. Yeah. But that's exactly my point. Is I would walk up, come in way too hot, you know, hanging out on your level.
Yeah.
You're like, what's up, y'all? I was like, hey, I'm just how's it fucking going? You making something? And he's just like, yes. I was like, true. You know?
Statement.
Yeah, but I think it's good to find, when you're off tour, you know, find your flow. And if for you, staying on the grind is what keeps you from the self-destructive
I know, you know where my self-destruction is, dude, and it's dangerous.
We could burn this whole fucking thing
dude,
but,
in 5 seconds. Dude, it'll
we're
be...
good people, we're getting better, you know what I'm saying?
But it's I think it is that the perfect example is people. Yeah, obviously what we do is nothing compared to a soldier going to war, but it is the same feeling.
Yeah.
And you come back and you're just like you lose all the people, the connections, because people's lives still go on, and our lives are weird. You know, like it's and weird is like not even a way to explain it. It's just like there's so much structure in that, as you say, chaos. But you come off the road and people's lives happened, and you haven't stayed in touch with them, and their normal days still go on, and ours come out, and I look at it perfectly as we disrupt people's lives. We come back and we show up. We're like, okay, now we're going to the next fucking city. Okay, that's fuck up. True. And then all the emotions we leave there with them, they hold on to that like for a show, and then we go to the next city, do the same shit, and then we come home, and then people are like, "Oh, you're finally here for 2 weeks." Yeah, but I'm leaving. All right, fuck you. And that's our lives. And you're jumping. If there was like a little map around the whole world, they'd be like, you know. And if you put a time stamp on anything, it's 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. Yeah, and it's rough. Yeah, I've been here for 24 hours, and I've already seen you. I'm like, I need to do something.
Yeah. I think, dude, honestly, I need the same thing. And I think that's partially why I got so into the fighting thing. Is that the physical,
you found something.
The physical, anxious, level 10 adrenaline rush that I would get on stage. And that's basically my strongest suit, I think. Is my favorite thing about this is performing. It's just leaving, like, really losing myself every day. And walking off stage knowing that I put everything I can into it. Like that leaves me most satisfied. But when I come off tour and there's nothing like that, I go fucking nuts. And so I found this fighting thing, and it got to the point where I was going 6 days a week.
That's amazing.
3 hours a day sometimes. Dude, no one should be doing, unless I'm a professional fighter, there's no reason why I should involve myself. And look what happened. I know you guys can't see, for those of you on the audio side of things, but I broke my fucking finger a month ago and didn't know, and I was so crazy, I didn't even want to acknowledge the fact that it was broken or even think about that. I just kept going to fight and ignoring it, and it was swollen. Turns out I was re-breaking it every time I made a fist. It was such a stupid thing to do, but I think, you know, it's an insight into how my mind works, and being, you know, one of those anxious people that needs constant structure, constant movement all the time to not be, you know, not do the self-destructive thing. And as much as I want to not say the word the addiction side of it is like, I'm a junkie, and whatever thing I'm passionate about at the time, I will do 1,000% until I die. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like a binge. And so just replacing, about it. That's what I'm saying, addressing the things that I know are going to be good for me, and going for those 100%, and not losing myself in this fucking stuff. Dude.
I know. It's your body's breaking down, you know?
Definitely.
But that's the same. It's like Emerson has his drawing, you know? I at least like wake up and go on a fucking 5-mile run at every single show I'm at. I'm like, literally every day. Warped Tour, just like,
it was like 8 in the morning after like a horrendous night. And you were like, hey man, morning. And you'd be coming back for breakfast.
And people are like, what's wrong with you? You were literally jumping off of a bus last night at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's 8 in the morning, and you're fine getting breakfast and catering with the bus drivers. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. You know? I don't know what it is, but I think it's because I get in that mental state. Like, I feel like when people, it's stupid to say, yes, I've been terribly hungover from things before, but I've also like got to the point I'm like, yeah, I feel like shit, but there's a day to live. And it's strange it was my choices to get drunk last night, so it's my choice to also live today and do something. And I've got really good with that.
Dude, people will just yesterday, for example, I'm a fucking baby. The second I was hungover, I was like, I can't. I'm not doing anything. Cancel practice. I can't. I'm not leaving my fucking bed today, guys.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think it's hard to be able to not blame the circumstances to not get the shit done that you need to get done. But that's just that grind, dude. It's another example of you guys hustling. And I'm just like, and people were jealous. It makes people mad when they see you doing better than them, because it's not like you're bragging about like, look at me, I work out every day. It's like, this is just something that I do because it helps me.
I'm running like drunk, sweating out my alcohol.
Exactly, yeah, it's like leading by example like that is something that is admirable for people, you know, and it obviously rubs them the wrong way too. Fucking pretty boys over here, dude, looking all fucking. Yeah. So I asked my photographer friend, and he's like, "Yeah, if it's a DSLR camera, it's not gonna record for longer than 12 minutes. Sorry, but it sucks." And I was like, "Oh,
so you're gonna go from each clip being like
Dude, you have no idea. It honestly doesn't take as long as I thought it was going to, but I'm sure there's a bunch of lighting mistakes and stuff I'm making, but I'm learning along the way. But
it's fine.
It's fine. Everything is fine. Like the whole first video we were talking about, I'm not even in the frame. Like I leaned back immediately.
I wanted to text you, but I was like, it's endearing.
Yeah, I was just like, it's fine. Yeah, he's gonna figure it out. But man, I'm really excited. I'm so happy that you had some time to come out. You guys are. First of all, I saw Remington last week. We went over to Bella Thorne's for a party. And first of all, how insane are people that are that rich and famous?
Oh, they're fantastic.
They're amazing. Like the life. I'm not gonna share too much, but I remember walking in. And she had the 15 cats and a giant
dinosaur.
Dinosaur in the house. I was like, what is going on? This is what people imagine is going on.
Dude, that was the thing when I first moved to Los Angeles. Like I didn't know. I was 19 years old, doing things I shouldn't have been doing, and it was fun. And I, grew up from that point. But the things that I've experienced, like I remember going to the Transformers movies.
Yeah.
The director for that went over his thing, and I went over his house.
Wait.
Yeah, Michael Bay. Yeah.
I was gonna say. I was like,
I hate saying the names, right, but the thing is, it's just like. The thing is, though, it's like I remember being 19 years old and getting invited by the Prince of Saudi Arabia, and we were friends with him, and he pulls up in his Rolls Royce, the dumbest shit. We go to In-N-Out, get it, Rolls Royce. He drops us off because he wanted to go to some other party. It was me and my friend Michael, and that was the one who wrote "Die in a Hot Tub" about Michael Bolton.
Man,
I know, and he's like one of my best. Thank you. He's like one of my best friends. He used to shoot all our music videos, like Morning Light and Get Higher, and we just became friends instantly. We met each other at a Halloween party, the first Halloween I was ever in LA. Yeah. And we just grew up together, we did all the dumb shit, the drinking, the drugs, everything, and it was fun, and we lived in it. But I remember going to this party and getting dropped off. It was one of those moments. I'm like, I'm in fucking Hollywood, because I was like, oh, cool, Michael Bay, whatever. But I walk up and there's a bouncer. He's like, your IDs? I'm like, okay, fine. He scans it. They have a scanner at the house, which I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool because of how rich he is, legit, whatever.
Yeah, legit.
He's that guy.
Right.
There's girls, literally, the only way the girls can get in the party, they have to get completely naked. And I'm like 19 years old, being like, do I have to get naked? Do I have to get naked? But, of course, you walk in and everything's there, and there's so many people around, and you're expecting tigers and shit, at that point, Yeah. But he has a Shark Tank in the house, and it's, unbelievable. And you're like, what is this wealth? And then you see that wealth, and you go travel the world. And I think that was what was really nice. I was able to see the luxurious side of things growing up in Las Vegas and growing up with the people we did, and then moving to Los Angeles. It was kind of the most superficial thing. But I also found truth in it by leaving and going on tour and sleeping in a car for 2 years straight, trying to find who I am as a person.
I was going to say, that's an interesting thing, that you guys were essentially in the elite world of Hollywood, but to be able to be passionate about something, because there are people that exist in just that
and
world,
they just want that. They live in their 15-mile radius, and they're happy being cool in that town.
Yeah, exactly. But
I had a dream. I wanted to do something, and it took a lot.
It's a unique perspective to have, to be able to. It's like I'm gonna compare it to Game of Thrones. Yeah, I've been thinking about it all week. But when Jon Snow, who was essentially born into royalty, decided to join something that was fulfilling for him, his actual dream. I think it's the same thing, that people find it hard to be like, why would you leave Hollywood to be in a van, bro?
Yeah.
Coming from.
But and that was the thing. The reality that came with that. It was our lives are very different. It's very public if you go on the internet and find out. But it's we went through that and didn't go to school. Emerson was 12 years old. Leaving school was crazy, But we were playing shows when we were that young for doing that thing. And we moved to Los Angeles because we wanted to change everything about that. Right. And we did. And we lived quite nicely because of that life. And we were living in a really nice house. And it was all the people that came in and through my house, every Disney kid was sleeping on my couch. And it was weird. But it was that was my life. And I wasn't going to college. My college was touring and figuring out who I wanted to be at 19. Definitely. And changing to Palais Royale and doing that. But in that time, money fades and money goes away and diminishes because you have no of an income. And we went completely homeless, to the point that literally down on they were Remington and Emerson were staying at it's called the El Patio Inn right across the street from the Royale Hotel or whatever on Ventura, on the other side of the valley. You're like, oh, what is this? When you're living in the hills, you're doing that shit. Right. We had about $100 left in the fucking bank. We were doing a high school tour at that time because we got offered to go play for a bunch of kids, and it was fun. And we were literally no money. We were in that point. got out of there the last night in the fucking motel.
Yeah.
And our record label came out at that time to the shows, and they're like, we want to sign you. And we like drove up after that, and we're like, we'll sign now. Damn. And we signed our life away literally for out of that desperation because I wanted to continue playing music. And they gave us an album deal. They were able to pay for the album. We got in the studio. And they're like, you're going on tour, and we're expecting, like, all right, cool, because the way we used to do it, here's a bus, here's a plane, here's a tour manager. They're like, all right, we're going to buy you a trailer. And we took our mom's car, and we slept in it for 2 years. And getting paid, our first tour, we got paid $25 a show.
Oh.
Our second tour, we got paid $50 a show.
Oh, big
Third, fourth, fifth, $100 a show. And you're just like, when you're not making any money, that's why we came and figured to do the makeup and doing the VIPs. Because if we wanted to continue doing what we wanted to, we had to make a business out of the thing we were doing. And because no one's there to help you. You signed to a record label, and they're not making money off of music, so why would they spend all their money to try to make you money? So I understand that. But it's also, you need someone there to help support it, and the grind was the only thing. But through that, it was like, we took so much, like, that hunger state, like, allowed us. I know how nice it is when you're that here, but I also know how nice it is. The laughs I had sleeping in a car with my brothers, just like traveling across the world. Like we would be in Kansas City, like driving like through a rainstorm, and be like, what the fuck? And like sleeping, we got to pull over, and I was the only one that would drive. We'd load the gear. I was the one that would drive. 180,000 miles. So when people say you don't want this, I'm like, go fuck yourself.
Dude,
you know?
And that's not fair, dude. People like, we've talked about it before. People just trying to take away, trying to find anything they can scratch at it. Be like, why do these guys not deserve it? And it's, of course, the answer is never, maybe I didn't work hard enough. Maybe I'm not working hard as this guy. It's, he must have something that
they think there's a secret thing. They think like,
secretly
that was what my girlfriend, she self-made, went through that whole thing, and it's amazing. Like, she owns her own salon. She went to beauty school, like left her house when she was 17, and came from the Ukraine when she was a kid. They won the lottery to be here. But for her to do that is like, everyone's like, oh, your parents must buy your salon. No, she worked for her ass to get to that point.
Wait, there was a raffle?
To get a lottery to get your visa to come to America.
That is see, people talk shit about America all the time. I get that there are things
right now,
but
still there's a lottery.
The rest of the planet,
you're allowing
people want to fucking come here.
Yeah. So when you see that, and like when people don't know the full stories, there's always a story behind it. Yeah, there are some people that are rich kids or whatnot. My parents were well off. Like, I came into a nice life when we first started, and they gave me instruments. They gave me like, I was able to like at least experiment with that. I was able to. I wanted to play pro hockey. I got injured. You know, that's the only reason I play music is because I got hurt playing hockey. And so life is funny, and it happens. And sometimes it's like the 1975. Matt is like, his parents are very successful and very wealthy, but he still writes the most endearing, heartfelt songs.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't discount him because he came from money. That doesn't make his craft any. You're born into something doesn't mean, or you're not into something.
You're not even, it's not a decision.
And then when people say, oh, I have nothing, it's like, well, my girlfriend's perfect example. She came from nothing.
Actual nothing.
Yeah, she came from fucking Ukraine,
and there are people that play the victim all the time.
Exactly.
For reasons to criticize the world for why they don't have.
They want an excuse of why their hard work isn't paying off.
But there's people that take it and make it something more. Like Taylor Swift.
Exactly.
Like, father's a
multi.
Set up. She was set up from the get go. But if she hadn't had the passion or the drive or the whatever God.
Everyone always wants to knock it for what it is. It was success on any level, and it's fine. I just think like people just gotta lighten up a little bit. The internet
up and live
and
don't focus on your own shit.
Yeah,
don't criticize the world before your shit's
everything into what it is. Like, sometimes it's all right to go and say, ask someone how their day is, or say, I hope you have a good day. Like, the problem is, like, I literally say, like, hope you have a good day online, and the amount of stupid tweets that people, I'm like, what? Why? How dare you tell me how to live my life?
When there are fucking the frogs are going extinct.
But the funny thing is when they'll say like this thing or whatever, or I'll post something like, traveling, and they're like, there's people service. I'm like, you're on your fucking $1,000 iPhone, and shut the fuck up, on Facebook.
So the moral of the story is, stay hungry. Don't be a piece of shit.
Stay humble.
Stay hungry. Stay humble. Don't be a piece of shit. Don't be afraid to be the black sheep.
Yeah. Be you.
And
that's really it. Be authentic.
The sky's the limit, dude. Don't underestimate the power of wanting something badly, and don't underestimate the power of your voice and what you say. And I think that's been the lesson. I fucking admire the shit out of you guys for it.
Thank you.
I hope I can get you on again. I'm sure once new music and stuff comes out. You guys are going on tour.
Next month.
Next month. Solo?
We're doing some headline dates, and we're going out with Hailstorm in Canada.
Cool.
So then we're doing the festivals. Then we go over to Europe and we're doing Pink Pop with Fleetwood Mac. So I'm so. Fleetwood Mac? I know. I'm stoked. Insane. Like when I saw Fleetwood Mac, like I was like that to me is like okay.
That's making it level shit. Where can people get tickets? Do you have a website link, or do you want to just throw it in the?
Yeah, just
I can throw it in after.
I think it's the fucking ticket, whatever.
Yeah.
I used to do all that. Now I'm just like someone take care of it.
Yeah, it'll be in the link somewhere.
It's at PalaisRoyale.com. Or if whatever you want to say at PayPal.com or whatever.
Yeah, we'll do it like that. But love you to death, dude.
Love you, buddy.
Thank you for being here, and let's fucking do something. Let's hang out.
Let's get a drink.
All right. Later, gangs.